Hello and welcome to the IABC Webmaster Webinar. This is Dave Meyer with BusyWeb, and we're delighted to have you here with us. We've gotten a bunch of responses and results to our chapter member surveys, and we've been talking to you. So to help keep things under control and to make this as useful as possible for you, we are going to skip right into our content. And so if you did happen to miss something at the beginning, for folks that are scrolling through, or if you're viewing this from the rebroadcast, we'll get right to things as quickly as possible. And I do have a part here. And very good. So as we talk about these, we're going to go through a few things that actually ties in to my event kickoff. So this is the IABC Webmaster Webinar. This is intended for webmasters at IABC. We're going to cover some things in particular. Most specifically, we're going to look at the hosting information and what you need to know, how to update things, how to submit support tickets, and general other admin. We're also going to go into just general news and updates, and then 2014 in review, what the big learnings and what the big web design strategies and updates have been in both web and social media. So this will hopefully be a good overview for you as you're thinking about and presenting to your chapter boards, or certainly if you need to share this with your organizations to keep them up to speed with what happened over the year. Would love the opportunity. Just pull up the video and feel free to share this to whoever you need to. We'll also cover a little bit about how to keep your website healthy from a chapter leader perspective. And if you do have questions, we of course would welcome those. The way to get to those is either to go to the URL on here, which is google.com/plusbusyweb. I'm going to switch screens here for just a moment so that I can show you what that looks like. If you click in on the event screen, you'll actually see right here that there's a link inside of Google+. And if you link on that, there's a little Q&A button in here. If you click on that, as long as you're logged in with a Google account, you'll be able to ask questions. And so I just clicked pause so you can't hear me talk over myself, but there's a big green button in here. You can click ask a new question, ask your questions here. That's how you ask questions into the event. I see those and I will actually answer those in line as they come in on the event. Again, of course, this is meant for you as a chapter leader and as a chapter webmaster. So if you do have those questions about how we can help you, what you need to connect, converse, or get more details about, this is your time. So we'll go through our presentation for the day, and then we're going to get right into questions. So as you think of your questions, please do ask away, and we'll connect up to those as soon as possible. As a reminder for folks, this is the IABC Chapter Webmaster website, and it's at chaptersite.com. There's details inside of here, and this, of course, features one of our Chapter Webmaster or one of our chapter site themes. These are available to IABC chapters at no cost. If you'd like either this chaptersite.com theme or the Chapter Site Pro theme, we'd love to talk to you about that. These sites are available to you at no cost. If you do need help developing, we have very, very inexpensive programs to help you get those off and running for the new year. So let's get right into our content and talk through what you need to know. So BusyWeb, of course, is an online marketing company. We do web design and online marketing and social media integrations. If you need any help with any of that, I'll talk to you a little bit more about that at the very end of the call, but want to get right down into business. So here's what you need to know about hosting. With IABC hosting, BusyWeb has lined up with IABC to allow now double the bandwidth, a brand new theme, and of course we're going to be adding one new theme per quarter. So look for a new theme about the middle of next quarter again. And if you'd like to update your chapter website design, that's a fantastic way to do it very inexpensively. The hosting packages, which start at $250 a year for our basic package and go up to $1,000 a year for our platinum package, include total value of about $453 to over $1,200 for the packages. That's not including the actual hosting service itself. That's the software that we install to monitor and maintain your website, to make sure that no hacking is going on your website, and to make sure that all of your plugins and details are up to date, including the service that we offer. If you do have questions or need support, you simply call or email, or most likely send in a note through chaptersite.com, and that's how you would connect up with us to get in. We do have some good news on the horizon here. We are actually in the final development mode for connecting up the IABC chapter membership data with the IABC chapter websites. If you've opted for the gold package or higher, we will install that on your chapter site. There are still some bumps and hiccups with the way the system currently works, but we're told in the first quarter of the new year, we should be able to make that available to everyone that's on a gold package or higher. They're just working on with the brand new IABC.com website that just launched earlier, or if it wasn't early this week, it was late last week. When the new IABC.com went live, that signaled a new era for IABC. That website is WordPress based, which is fantastic news for all of us chapter webmasters, because that's what your chapter websites are also developed on. So we're going to be able to start sharing some of that development, including access to a members only database, so that you can start acting and offering up members only content that authenticates against the membership database, so that you don't have to keep adding or removing or changing access levels for your website on the fly. Very, very exciting stuff. Stay tuned for that, and by the next Chapter Webmaster webinar, which is always the third Thursday of any given month, so the third Thursday in January, we should hopefully have final details on what that will look like for chapters. If you do need to request support, the easiest way to do that is to go to chaptersite.com/support, or simply email iabc@busyweb.com. Items that are supported as far as free support include password resets, the monitoring and the maintenance of your site. So if you are hosted with BusyWeb through the IABC program, we actively monitor your website to make sure that it hasn't gone down and that there's no malware on your site. And then we also update on a regular basis all of your plugins and WordPress software. So WordPress 4.1 just launched today, and so we're very excited about that, and I'll talk about that very briefly in a little while. But the big brunt of that is we'll update at least quarterly. If there are security related updates, we do those immediately. But if you do see some out-of-date plugins on your website, or if you're running an older version of the chapter or of the WordPress software, there are a couple of reasons that might be. One would be that if we update your website, it might break your website. And there are a couple of chapters that have very old themes that require updating or changing before we can update to the latest version of WordPress. And or if there's some other functionality that's going to be conflicting when we do upgrade your site. What's happened in all of those cases is we've tried to update your software and then something broke and we had to revert. So if you see that there are a lot of WordPress software updates that are left to be made, hang on with us or get a hold of us at iabc@busyweb.com or chaptersite.com/support and let us know, and we'll help you through that. We also offer site backups, malware scanning, and uptime monitoring, of course, but things that fall outside of the support window include updating the content on your website, and we're all communicators, so hopefully we'd all be able to update our own content, updating the design. While we can absolutely help you update your design, that does fall outside of the free support agreement, so we'd love to work with you and help you on that. We've had probably a dozen chapters that have updated something on their website design-wise this year, and I hope they all feel that, or the same that I do, that they've wound up with fantastic sites at an incredibly inexpensive price. So if you have those issues or have concerns where you'd like to make some changes, please do get a hold of us and we'll help you with that. If you're updating your forms, we don't necessarily help you with that. We'll give you some pointers on how to do that, but as I'm sure you know, forms can get pretty involved. And non-supported plugin updates. This is a sticky one because there's an entire universe of plugins out there, and BusyWeb has handpicked the best plugins as far as stability, security, and usefulness. And so please do check out the chapter site website to find our list of recommended plugins. If your plugin does not fall on that list, certainly if it's an easy fix or if it's an update to a plugin, that's one thing. But if we need to reconfigure a plugin or reinstall a new plugin in order to make the functionality return, that would be outside of that window. And you're either welcome to work with your Chapter's Webmaster, or BusyWeb has very price competitive services to update that software for you. Short version of all of this is that we know what we're doing in WordPress, and we would love to work with you on that, but we can't do everything for free. So thank you very much, and that's about it. If your site is hacked because of a weak password on your user accounts or non-supported plugins, which has happened with a number of, or not a number, but a few chapters over the past year where they had bad plugins or their chapter had a bad login for an administrator account, and someone hacked into that and made a bunch of funky changes. We, of course, will help you with that, but that does fall outside of our free support window. Gold and Platinum accounts do have general hours that can be used towards any of the above up to that max. For the basic level of support, we offer 1 hour of service and support a year. For the Gold level, there's 3 hours, and for the Platinum level, there's 6 hours of support. So if you need that, we can absolutely help. Let's get into 2014 in review, and this is where I will take just a moment again to remind you that you may easily ask questions just by going into the page on Google Plus for BusyWeb. And actually, if I just go to google.com/+BusyWeb, you'll see that right on this event page, there is a link into this event. So if you click on this, it says Q&A and live. And again, that's at google.com/+BusyWeb. And so if you click on that, you'll see this Q&A/live. If you click on that, as long as you have a Google account, you'll be able to log in and ask questions. And that, again, looks like this. So you can just click on the green button, click Ask a New Question, and ask away. We'll talk about a few other wonderful things as we go through today, but make sure that you are asking those questions because this time is for you. All right, so let's get into 2014 and what happened as far as social media and web. So as a chapter leader, it's important that we all understand what's happening in the world and what's kind of come to fruition over the past year. There are some big trends, some big design issues, and some big things in the industry that I just wanted everyone to know about that I thought were notable and that you may want to have some action taken upon. First, on Facebook, our predictions from last January 8th, I believe, in our Busy webinar, is that Facebook would continue to struggle with a cool factor and that they would focus more on mobile. And sure enough, Facebook did split the mobile messenger app, or all messaging, within the applications. And so now it went into 2 applications. What happened from that and what that means is that Facebook now can take better tabs on you, and they understand what you're saying, what you're doing, and how you're doing it. They don't necessarily share that information with anybody for the tinfoil hat crowd, but they do know a whole lot more about us, and that in turn helps you as a Facebook consumer or a Facebook business or organization. If you decide that you want to advertise to a specific type of person, that demographic info is pretty much unparalleled from what you can get from Facebook versus any other social network. You know, Google Ads, you can't really dial in the same way you can with Facebook advertising. And that kind of pays out with what's happening inside of Facebook. Pages on Facebook, business pages or organization pages, saw their organic share where the edge rank of a given page, if you post something on your page and you have 500 likes, you used to see about 40% of those people, or about 200 of those people, would see any given post that you made out of those 500 likes. Now that number is right around 3%. So you're probably seeing around 12 people or so that are seeing any given content that you publish on your page without boosting it. And that's the actual phrase or term. If you're an admin on your Facebook page, you now are seeing buttons that proactively ask you to boost your posts in order to get better results. That's the bad news, that you actually have to pay money. The good news is that we know exactly who we are trying to reach, and now we know exactly what it's going to take in order to get that click. And so you'll see, for a budget of, for example, $50, you can probably get better results than you will anywhere else in any type of marketing. $50 goes a very long ways. I've actually had thousands of responses or massive turnarounds for my organizations that we represent with very small investments based on Facebook's effectiveness. One small bit of advice: do not try to advertise to get more likes on your page, because again, that organic reach, after they've become or after they've liked your page, the likelihood that they're going to see any given content that you're trying to share has gone through the floor. So instead, just focus on marketing to people that you're trying to reach by drilling in on their demographics. And again, you can go to specific geographic demographics, timelines, education levels, people that have different relationship statuses, people that are parents, all the way down to interests based on what they click on, both inside Facebook and out. So if you are trying to reach, if you've got a local television personality that has a gardening show and you're trying to reach gardeners that are also communicators, you could tick those check boxes and send out a message with $50 to the 200 people that you're exactly trying to reach and have a much higher likelihood of having them register for your event. So that could be very, very helpful. Let's move over to Twitter. A year ago, we thought that Twitter would struggle with promoted tweets and generating revenue without spamming. That has definitely paid out, where all of these promotions and sponsored tweets, while they're becoming more and more prevalent, we are seeing that there's simply more noise in Twitter. And so Twitter is actually experiencing something of a hiccup in their growth. And as a matter of fact, Twitter is no longer has been eclipsed by Instagram as far as total number of active users, where Instagram has 300 million and Twitter is still hovering at around 275 or 280 million actual real users that are checking it out all the time. Hashtags will continue to proliferate the media, and I did hashtag yep there. But as you see this, there's just a lot of stuff happening in the web space, and the Twitter kind of hashtag idea has really become the shorthand for communicating with anyone. You see it all over television shows. Any given social movement that has happened in the past year has had a hashtag associated with it. So this is just the way people will connect. I had hoped that business accounts would be launched that would help you to aggregate, like Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn offer, but no dice so far. And so we're still on our own little private personal accounts. There are tools that you can use to manage, like Hootsuite can manage from a corporate account where you can give multiple people to log into your account. But Twitter itself does not yet offer that. Google+. We thought Google+ would have big growth this last year as people started actually using all the wonderful tools available to them. You're checking this out from Google, of course. The Hangouts and webinars that have come out and been a function, Auto Awesome, all of the connections are connecting out and reaching up. So you're seeing a lot of wonderful stuff, but it's still not really taking off. As a matter of fact, things are losing steam a little bit on the Google Plus front. Vic Gundatra has left the company, left Google, and he was the champion and owner of Google Plus inside of the organization. So now they're kind of left rudderless, and it remains to be seen where they're actually going to go with this. Still, Google is a very good tool, or Google Plus pages are wonderful tools if you want to help your search engine results. Having a simple link from your Google Plus page to your account or to your website is a great way to add what Google calls sparks to your account. And those turn into kind of social media or search engine indicators of quality, which of course helps you show up more often. LinkedIn had a very good year this year. More proliferation and use of showcase pages is what we thought would happen. Of course, that's not really happened because LinkedIn kind of went in a different direction, while company pages and showcase pages have continued to proliferate and people are starting to finally get what those are. What we're seeing right now is that the personal blogging platform that LinkedIn has created under personal private accounts are really what's kind of stealing the show right now as far as integration and connection. So if you personally would like to grow your company and your integrations and your reach, a great strategy is going to be getting onto the LinkedIn publishing platform and perhaps offering up what you're already publishing on your chapter website or in your personal or company communications, getting that out there on your accounts. We're seeing that it has about a 10-to-1 viewership and engagement level than company page or showcase page posts. So one of the things that I think that LinkedIn needs to do is merge groups pages and showcase pages into a unified platform. And they're sort of doing that with the new blogging platform, but they're trying to replace the rest of the web. And so I think it's a largely misguided account. Certainly LinkedIn isn't slowing down on its growth, and they have fantastic connections, certainly for IABC audiences. As business communicators, LinkedIn is probably the best place for us to be. But if you haven't played with the personal blogging platform, and if you haven't looked at some of the new benefits, including editing your personal profile page with the new banners to make everything look like Facebook. Twitter now looks a lot like Facebook. Google Plus made a bunch of Facebooky changes, and now LinkedIn has as well. Everything is kind of proliferating to that same model. And certainly with Facebook at 1.5 billion or so people, we're seeing just a lot of weight around the traffic that's already seeing that type of content, and everybody's jumping on the same bandwagon with look and feel and Me Too. My other predictions from last year is that video sharing was going to break out, and sort of. Vine still hasn't really taken off. There are a few other small video sharing organizations or groups that haven't really taken off, but Instagram did gain pretty big, and now they're bigger than Twitter. And image sharing, I was hoping would really grow. At about this time last year, or around the January timeframe, Flickr announced a new image editing and sharing mobile application. And so I was very hopeful that that would help to get some more traction inside of the image sharing solution, or certainly for Twitter. But as it turns out, things didn't really take off that well. And instead, Twitter has added images and videos to its integrations. Instagram has, of course, taken off. Facebook is now offering inline videos where it automatically plays as you're scrolling through your timeline in both mobile and PC environments. And everything is getting more visual without necessarily having a big single player emerge as the front runner. There is no Facebook of imagery, although there are a lot of pretenders to the throne. Another thing that we're seeing is that there are more alternative networks than ever out for folks that are interested or have use for Pinterest. Can be a very useful tool if you have visual information to share. But Houzz, Houzz, has now popped up as basically the Pinterest of the home remodeling and real estate world. So if you want project ideas for your house, your landscaping, or anything else, Houzz, Houzz, is a great tool for that. So we're seeing some new indications there. What else happened in 2014? The big things that did pop up for folks that were big on Foursquare. Foursquare and Swarm. Foursquare broke into two apps, Foursquare and Swarm, and that was right around the middle of the year, around June, July. And they pretty much lost everybody that was hugely loyal to the Foursquare platform. They're trying to compete more with Yelp as a review tool. And so the new Foursquare is more like Yelp or a local online review company where you can find great places based on the data that they've collected over the years with their Foursquare app. And then Swarm is the location and checking in engine. The two do sort of integrate, but by and large, in my professional opinion, it was a terrible flub, a massive misstep, and couldn't be more disappointed in Foursquare for breaking what I thought was a great tool. Granted, I was a fan before, and now it's a big change, but most of the functionality that I used to use Foursquare for the social gaming or the checking in of places and becoming the mayor of different places and using that to get deals and offers has fallen by the wayside in form of, kind of blind promotion and misguided over delineation between each of the different tools. Anytime you need two tools to do something that you used to be able to do with just one is a big problem in my perspective. WordPress 4.0 came out, allowing media and editing to happen more easily than ever. With WordPress 4.0, you can simply grab images off your desktop and drag them into the edit window now, automatically resize those and add them and edit them. There's new editing tools to allow your window, for example, to expand or contract as you're typing to kind of take some of that distraction out. And right now, actually, just a couple hours ago, WordPress 4.1 just came out, featuring better writing tools, basically a distraction-free writing zone, and more information on multi-language support. So for our international friends, for the webmasters that are watching this, probably is in a recording, all of your issues with publishing in French or German or your local language have become much simpler inside of your WordPress installation. The Ice Bucket Challenge really took fundraising viral. So we saw the fact that if you can get creative, you can get real results. As a nonprofit organization itself, IABC could learn a lot from this. We can do things as chapters that with a little bit of creativity can really pay dividends. And I think this year is when we really saw that hit the mainstream. $100 million was raised for the ALS Foundation through the Ice Bucket Challenge from people basically dousing themselves with ice water and challenging 3 friends to do the same. Mobile has become a very big deal. You will notice that the Chapter Site theme and the Chapter Site Pro theme are both fully mobile responsive. If your chapter site is not mobile responsive, you're missing out. About 80% of initial searches on the web are now performed first over mobile devices. So there's a lot of folks that are using their Android or their iOS devices as the first place they search. Certainly as you look at and you connect with people that are either looking for information in their leisure time, folks that might be commuting on buses or trains and checking on things, trying to get to your events, you need to make sure that your website is presenting itself in a friendly format for those mobile devices. If you visit your website and you have to pinch, zoom, or scroll to get to urgent information, you're missing the boat. So mobile responsive is the watchword of 2014, in my opinion, especially for web design, but everything is getting bigger as well. So mobile devices, tablets continue to perform very strongly, although with the iPhone 6 Plus, the line between tablet and phone is kind of blurring for the largest single and most profitable market in the mobile device space. And so iPad sales actually took a dip for the first time ever in lieu of basically a tablet-sized phone. All of that information is making it so that people are thinking about their mobile devices as much, if not more, than the folks that are stuck in front of computers all day. Apple Pay is another big message on here. You're going to want to look for ways that you can support Apple Pay or mobile payments, because people are going to be expecting to be able to pay for your event either online with their phone or simply with a tap as they would with Apple Pay. Smartwatches also started getting some results this year. The Pebble and the Android Wear watches have come out and they're already doing some wonderful things. The Apple Watch hasn't even come out yet, and that's really turned the conversation into a fervor. We don't even know when the Apple Watch is going to come out, but everybody is all of a sudden talking about wearable devices now that Apple's pushing that into the mainstream. Net neutrality continues to be under attack. My very brief soapbox on this: if you don't know about net neutrality, or if you haven't looked into net neutrality and what that means, take a few moments just to kind of Google around about it. The upshot is that large internet providers are lobbying to create what they call internet fast lanes. What that will effectively do is take away what had been the biggest boon in information in our lifetimes and probably in the history of the world, which was the internet, and the fact that everything is equal in the eyes of the web, and that if you have a website, you're just as likely to be able to get seen and get your content out as if you're a $100 million organization or a mom and pop shop or a small organization like an IABC chapter. Now, with the dismantling of net neutrality, what that essentially would mean is that some websites will be much faster than others, to the point of some websites may be too slow to access at all. So for small upstarts, for companies that are trying to disrupt the status quo, for political or social movements, some of those things could be silenced or outright blocked without net neutrality. So if you haven't looked at this, net neutrality is the great leveler of information, and all information, in my opinion, should be free. A lot of people do agree with that. 3.7 million comments were logged to the FCC in the United States, and the final decision on net neutrality and what exactly is going to happen with it is due out in 2015. There are billions of dollars at stake here, so I would expect something to be dismantled on net neutrality. Of course, that is going to be a terrible thing, and we're going to need to continue to fight that in order to make sure that civilization remains available to the world and to the web. Gamergate revealed the ugly underbelly of the web with attacks against women in particular, and then a backlash against gamers or gamers who felt that they were being unfairly targeted. There's finger pointing on both sides of the debate, of course, but ethics in journalism really took a front seat in the Gamergate conversation as we looked at and discussed finally what it means to be an advocate for specific messaging. There's a lot of stuff on that, of course, as well, and some very cogent thoughts and theories within a quick Google away. So I won't overbear that, but Gamergate was a big deal. Security was also huge this year. A number of our chapters actually experienced some things with poor code on their websites that was opening up holes. We had some folks that had problems with their websites that we did our best to fix, but in order to get rid of them, you have to get rid of some code or some tools. And one of the things that we saw as we were cleaning up sites over the course of 2014 for chapters is that a volunteer organization has a lot of different personalities, and a lot of different developers were putting forth a lot of interesting solutions on the IABC chapter websites. And so we've done our best to clean all of those up, to lock them down, but it has been an issue for some of our chapters. Of course, much bigger issues for Target, Home Depot, and now Sony Pictures. And massive breaches have become commonplace in the media now, especially as other items are discovered, such as Heartbleed, Shell Shock, and the Poodle security exploits have been identified and plugged. The good news is that we're thinking about all of these things, and it's become part of the conversation in the web world. The bad news is that there are a lot of bad people out there, and so it's just par for the course. In general and in short, make sure that you don't have the same password on any two sites, because if a hacker discovers your login for one site and they can all of a sudden get into everything that you own, your life is going to change for the worse very quickly. Having a tool like 1Password Pro or LastPass or KeepPass is a good investment, a wonderful investment in keeping your personal information secure. Of course, you need to make sure that you share and keep all of that information as secure as possible. And in general, don't share anything or click any links that you're afraid would get out or that seems suspicious. Apple bought Beats for $3 billion, its largest ever buy, which indicates that media and streaming music is probably going to continue to be a big thing. Speculation around the world or around the pundit circuit has seen that probably over and above hardware, Apple was looking for cool, and the cultural cachet that they would get from buying Beats, but also probably the streaming service that Apple's really never been able to get into. You know, Apple Radio or iTunes Radio is one thing, but Beats music has a much different feel and a much more active and loyal fan base. So we'll see how that goes. And then also commercial drones have kind of become a thing with cheap technology and privacy issues abounding there. Anyone with $300 can get a 4-propeller camera-enabled device that can go up and take pictures and do things like never before. So there's lots of opportunity. Technology keeps getting more accessible, and conversations keep getting more interesting as we move through. I'll talk about 2015 in demo or my predictions next time, but I wanted to make sure to have as much time for your questions as possible. So I'll open that up one last time, and then as I do, I'll just skip through a couple more slides. Again, as a reminder, we did announce Chapter Site Pro this quarter, and there'll be another website design coming up next quarter. If you do have requests or things that you would like to see in your chapter design that you'd like to get access to, again, these themes are available to you for free through your BusyWeb arrangement or agreement between IABC and BusyWeb. And so if you host with us, you get access to these themes and these tools. If there's specific tools that you would like to see, please do request that or offer us your feedback by going into chaptersite.com/support and logging that request. And we'd love to take your concerns and your needs into account as we continue to build out a theme library that's fully within the brand standards of IABC. Again, realizing that a new brand conversation is happening right now inside of IABC, and so probably by second or third quarter of 2015, we're going to have entirely new branding to enjoy and enhance. And so BusyWeb will work with you to help you upgrade your website for that as well when that time comes. In order to keep things cleaned up in 2015, you know, if you have some New Year's resolutions that you'd like to make, first, of course, back up your content regularly. BusyWeb does automatic backups, but if you're going to make any changes to your website, do yourself a favor and run a backup and download that backup prior to making any specific changes to your website. Certainly any plugin updates or removals, any major design changes, or anything code related on your website. Make a backup first. From there, I would encourage everyone to go through and do an audit of your plugins, especially if you have inactive plugins or plugins that aren't in use on your chapter website. Remove those because that bloats your software, and it also offers in additional points of entry into your chapter website. If you have an insecure plugin sitting on your chapter site that a hacker has figured out how to exploit, that's opening you up to problems. There was a Tim Thumb exploit that was in the beginning of the year in 2014, and even if you didn't have that plugin active, if it wasn't patched, that was a vulnerability that people could exploit and dig into your chapter site on. Also, if you have comments active on your website, it might be a good idea to either actively monitor those and install a Kismet, which is an anti-spam device for your chapter website. It's authored by the folks at WordPress. Very great software, and most of our chapters have that active on their sites, but if you don't activate it, if you don't need comments on your site, or if you're not employing or asking for conversation on your site, I would encourage you to just turn off comments, because hackers can inject code or links onto your chapter site, and best case, it just clogs up your server and things get a little bit slower. The BusyWeb server gets a little bit heavier and we have to deal with that. But worst case, there could be bad code in there that then would hijack something or adversely affect your chapter website and or the security of the user accounts that are on that chapter site. So please do turn off comments. Don't use them if you don't need to. Also, be sure to go through the admin accounts, the users. You can, with a simple click on admin, editor, and author inside of your chapter site, and remove folks that are no longer active or accounts that are no longer in use inside of those spots. You know, you may have a disgruntled member that has left, and if their account is still active on the chapter website, they could theoretically go in and just delete everything, and you certainly don't want that to happen. One other thing, please be sure to leave the BusyWeb admin accounts live on your site, and be sure to keep Busy Monitoring as a plugin active, because that's how we monitor and maintain your website. That's how we log into it, how we keep access, and how we know if there are any bad code injections or downtimes that are experienced on your site. And then we get right in, we update our plugins through that tool. So leave that one alone. Everything else is pretty much fair game. Again, of course, back up early and often, and just keep things as simple and as streamlined as possible. If you have a lot of content on your website, if you have a lot of media on your site that's overly big, if you're trying to load up videos, a great way to connect and help folks is to reach out proactively. And so the more you can do to slim things down and to enjoy a neat, tidy website, the faster your site will be and the better you're going to be off, because that's how clean code works. If you need to upgrade plugins and software, of course, we already talked about this, but just back up your software, click on the update button, and then check for conflicts. We always say to go through each plugin if you have a number of them, go through each one by one. If you want to do this yourself, by all means, go ahead. BusyWeb does do this about once a quarter, or at least once a quarter. So if you see outdated plugins, if you have an immediate concern or you need to get something updated right away, send us a report or a support request. But we would love to help you with that, so long as it's a supported plugin. And again, if you go to chaptersite.com and then go into the Webmaster support page or the Webmaster forum, you'll see what our affiliate plugins are, or what our approved plugins are. Here's some questions. Then we're looking again for you to ask those questions. While I do that, I will go into that chapter site page, and let's show you inside of this Webmaster forum. Here's where those logins are. So under recommended plugins and tools, here is a list of the plugins and details that we support. Oops, sorry, it's the second post. And so here's the list of recommended plugins. So Akismet, Backup Buddy, bbPress, Busy Monitoring, and then all of the others. Jetpack is wonderful. It's by WordPress. Lazy Load speeds up your website for your users by only loading what they're looking at. The Page Post Redirect plugin for SEO purposes is wonderful. Rev Slider, rotating text, Events Calendar and Events Calendar Pro. W3 Total Cache, Favorite Posts, and Smush It is great for resizing images. All of these are in the approved plugins. If you have specific plugins that you'd like to add to your website and you would like our opinion, we would encourage you, of course, to check that out. So let us know if you have something that you'd like to add. We'd love to vet it for you before we publish or install it. And if you do need help adding plugins or adding other functionality, let us know and we'll take that on a case by case. And certainly if it involves additional functionality, we'd love to give you a proposal for what that might take to have BusyWeb do it for you. Or you're welcome at any time, of course, to work with either a sponsor or your in-house talent to take care of anything on your website. BusyWeb is here as a support tool and as a background, as a safety net for you and your chapter. And so any way we can help, we would love to help, within reason, of course. To sum up, and as we wait for those questions to come in, don't forget your library. On the homepage of chaptersite.com, there is an entire library of these videos. All of them are about 35 to 40 minutes long. You can skip ahead about 6 minutes in most of them, because a lot of it is just repeated information that talks about what's going on with BusyWeb and why BusyWeb and all that, because we do see that we have about 80% of our visitors each month are brand newer that have never heard of us. And so you can usually skip ahead a little bit, but there's all kinds of wonderful information, including tutorials on themes, templates, installing specific types of software and plugins, down to enhancing and increasing the security on your site. BusyWeb does web design, of course. If you or your organization do need something, BusyWeb will donate a portion of our profits from your referral to IABC, to the Research Foundation. So please do get a hold of us and help support IABC. We also do online marketing. So if your chapter or an organization that you work with has need for online marketing, email marketing, social media help, or content, we would love to talk to you about that. Join us every Wednesday for webinars. These next 2 Wednesdays, we are actually off due to the Christmas and New Year's holidays. And so Happy New Year and Happy Holidays to all of you. Happy Hanukkah to my Jewish friends. And please do check out and go to busyweb.com/events. The first Wednesday in January, we will be back, and I will talk about my predictions for 2015, and we'll give you a condensed version of that in the Webmaster Webinar, the 3rd Thursday of January. If you do have questions and want more information for you or for your chapter, go to busyweb.com/buzz and request a buzz report. We'll give you a report full of action items and details on what you can do to improve your online marketing. Again, I'm Dave Meyer with BusyWeb. Thank you so much for connecting up and for watching through this event. Remember, at BusyWeb and with IABC, we help you generate buzz without getting stung. Thanks and have a fantastic week.